this video, we're going to explore a very simple user-friendly method of signing Windows binaries such as a DLL or executable with a PFX or P12 code signing certificate. Now, I originally made this video for a customer of mine who needed to sign some software for their company, but didn't understand the process and needed a refresher course. So let's jump right in. On my screen, you can see I've created a small sample application that will sign later on to showcase the SignTool. I'm going to go ahead and close it for now and open the bin where it resides. We're going to select it, click Properties, and as you can see, there is no digital signature tab yet because we haven't signed it. So let's go ahead and close our properties, minimize this for now, and on the desktop you can also see I've created a self-signed certificate that we'll use to sign our application at the end of this video. The first thing we want to do is go ahead and open the browser. Because it's been a while, I'm going to head and Google it. Now it's probably going to take me to the Windows SDK, and if you already have the Windows SDK, you can skip this step. There's the link. And if you don't want to Google it, you can go ahead and copy the URL at the top of the browser now. Let's scroll down, click Download the Installer, open the setup file. Let's go through the prompts, the license agreement, and when we get to the features page, we want to deselect almost everything except for the SDK signing tools because it's about 4 gigabytes. Now, if you want the SDK, you can keep everything checked, but for the intents and purposes of this video, I'm going to deselect everything except for what we need, which should bring us to about 16 megabytes. That's a big difference. Let's go ahead and click Install. Wait for that to be done. Alright, it's finished. Now the second thing we need to do is grab the GUI tool. The GUI tool just provides a graphical front end that taps into the actual SignTool command line utility. It doesn't actually implement any of the signing functionality of the SignTool. So we're going to go ahead and run back to the search engine, and because I don't actually know the link, I think it's called SignGUI, and it's been around since Windows XP, but I think it's still relevant. Once again, you can go ahead and copy the link at the top of the browser, and we're just going to download our freeware and click the Setup EXE, go through the prompts, install, and finish. Now, the third and last thing we need to do with our browser is get something called a timestamp server URL. And if you bought your certificate from one of the main providers like SignTool, then they may have already provided you with the time server URL. Let's go back to the Google engine, search SignTool timestamp server. Alright, it should be down here just a bit, and great, there's a link. We'll go ahead and copy that to our clipboard. And we can minimize our browser. Let's go ahead and open the shortcut to the SignGUI tool. Great, now in the first field, we can go ahead and browse for the SignTool location. It should be in our C drive, Program Files, Windows Kits. If you're on Windows 11, it'll be 11. Let's go into the bin folder, x64, and there's our SignTool. Go ahead and click on it, open, and we have the location of the Windows SignTool. The next field expects our certificate location, so we're going to go ahead and browse, and because I have a P12 certificate, it may not show up. We'll go ahead and click All Files. It will work just as well. Let's double click on the certificate. And if you have a password, you can go ahead and put it in the next field. And next, we can paste our timestamp server URL in the timestamp service URL field. Let's check both of the options. If you have a program title or web URL that you want to include, you can go ahead and put these in the next two fields. I'm going to skip that and move on to the last field, which is our program files to sign. And I will go ahead and add the code signing example from the desktop. And if we had multiple files to sign, we could go ahead and add multiple here and sign them all at once. We're going to select SHA-256 as our signature hash, and that's pretty much it. Go ahead and click Sign Files. Successfully signed. All right. The current project has unsaved changes. Do you want to save them before closing? Sure. There's our sample project. Now that was handy because it allows us to manage our signing projects without having to put in the parameters every single time. Now you want to be careful with this because it does have your password in here, and you always want to safeguard your certificate. If you're like me, you have to compile your program over and over repeatedly anytime you make any changes, which means also signing the program over again. The save functionality of the SignGUI tool allows us to easily manage projects that we have to sign repeatedly. Now let's go ahead and check the properties of our code signing example EXE. As you can see, we now have a digital signature. Our binary has now been signed. And that's pretty much it. I hope this video helped you with all of your code signing endeavors. Next time we'll take a look at using the actual SignTool command line utility. There's nothing wrong with using a GUI because some people are just unfamiliar or don't feel comfortable using the command line, and that's okay. It's good to know and understand how to use the actual utility, as it tends to be more powerful, allowing much more customization in the commands that you can input. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.